Welcome back to another episode of Who's On First. I'm your host, Dwayne.
I'm Jason.
And before we start, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It'll help us out immensely. But let's get to it. Mr. Trevor Bauer. Hasn't been talked about. Everything's been quiet since his...
the court case for his... restraining order.
Yeah, since the civil case, the judge ruled in his favor, said that the restraining order was not needed since him or the accuser will not be having sex anymore, obviously.
Well, his future is still very much up in the air. This was a specific ruling by the judge that Bauer no longer posed a threat to his accuser, so there was no need for a protective order. But this certainly does not exonerate Bauer, and there's still the possibility of criminal charges.
But it brings up the question, will Trevor Bauer play this season, or will Trevor Bauer ever play again in the MLB?
So for this season, I'm going to say, as I was saying earlier, like, hey, let's see where we stand. We're in September. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why they'd bring him back now.
Right.
So I feel like he's not going to come back this season. I read an article saying that they don't think they'll think it's 2 seasons he'll be gone.
Right, a 2-year suspension.
A 2-year suspension, and then possibly come back then. I honestly think he's going to come back next, because right now after the case went from the judge, the DA gets all the evidence, and
right.
The DA now is going through it and seeing if there is enough evidence to stick. When this happens in the celebrity thing, and with celebrities, this is where you get that fine line of like, okay, unless like an OJ type deal thing happened, most of them are just brushed under.
Right.
And this is where I feel like this one will be brushed under, not based off of the fact of it's because he's Trevor Bauer. I don't feel like there's enough evidence based off of what I saw from the first case that would warrant it. Now, not saying that they still can't pop him in the MLB for the sexual assault suspension, which that's what it looks like it's going to. But yeah, I feel like we may not see Bauer in another Dodgers uniform unless he comes back that third year, because he's just going to keep taking his contracts.
Right.
Rightfully so if he's not playing.
Right. I just want to read this quick little excerpt from Jeff Passan's article. If you haven't read it, Jeff Passan, he released the article on August 31st detailing like what was going on with Trevor Bauer's case up to this point, and everything's a great read, so please go check it out. But he says the question gets thrown, is Bauer going to play this year? He says no. If the DA does not make a decision on charges before the end of the season, Bauer almost certainly will remain on administrative leave. If he's charged, the MLB would either extend his administrative leave or use the paid suspension provision in the policy. If he's not charged, a suspension will be coming in even if Bauer appeals. The lack of immediate stay will prevent him from returning. So this is Passan giving his opinion, and also a little back story into how MLB's rules are going to work. I also feel like he definitely will not be seen this year. However, in the same article, it was some MLB executives who gave their opinion on Bauer's suspension. Of course, they were not named. They felt like at least a 2-year suspension was coming. I honestly feel like that's going to be very hard, because I feel like that's very easy for Trevor Bauer to appeal and win, because the only person that got something similar to that was A-Rod with his steroid situation, and then he appealed it and he won, and his got reduced. And with Bauer, it's very hard to suspend someone, even though, however you might feel about what he did and morally, and of course, striking a woman and everything is seen horrible, and it should be seen as horrible, especially when he choked her until she was unconscious, and there were things that happened afterwards that, again, a lot of us won't know and will never be privy to. But at the end of it all, if there is no criminal charges, the civil restraining order got thrown out, I don't see how you can suspend him for 2 years. Like, I want to know, and people out there who are listening, please let us know in the comments. Like, I don't think there's a morality clause that is in that contract. So, I mean, you can be the biggest dick you want, but as long as you're following the rules and you're not in jail, which he, as of right now, isn't, I don't see how you can suspend him for 2 years.
No, I like we've said it before. This was a tactic that MLB is running with right now because they could have brought him back after that last suspension,
Right.
saying, "Hey, while it's still under investigation, we can't assume that this is it." It's to shut him up from his whole talk about the ball being doctored. Because since he's been suspended, how much have we heard about it?
Nothing.
Exactly. So I feel like when he comes back, we're not going to see Trevor Bauer. We're going to see a Trevor Bauer, but not the Trevor Bauer we've seen before.
Do you think he'll be muzzled?
Oh yeah, he'll definitely be muzzled because has this year's a waste. He's got paid,
Right.
and money's fine, but guess what? Your contract's only up for 2 more years, and if you want to get paid again, and regardless, that's enough money to survive off of. He's an athlete. He's a competitor. That's
Right.
not enough money for him to survive off of. So I feel like we're gonna get a more muzzled Bauer when we get him back.
Man, it's just interesting to think about. Honestly, this is like a Hollywood story about the guy who finally gets to play for his hometown team, his favorite team growing up, then all this shit happens afterwards. But you said you don't see him in a Dodger jersey. I also do not see him in a Dodgers jersey. Where would you see him landing after all this? Because I can't think about it right now.
No, it all depends. It all depends on what happens with this next case. If it's drugged through and he finally just settles out of court, maybe the Mets, not because the Mets were right there. I just feel Cohen would probably be the type that would be like, you know what, you weren't proven guilty.
Right.
The Reds, maybe back to the Reds. I don't feel like there would be a lot of doors opening for him.
Yeah. At this point, I wouldn't I'm trying to think of even potentially maybe Arizona.
Yeah, it would have to be somewhere where the risk isn't going to really they're not going to be spending a lot of money, obviously.
No, not at all.
So it's not going to be a team with a lot of that have a lot to lose. It'll be I don't think a top tier team. Only reason why I said the Mets is because Steve Cohen just seems like he would be the type of owner, be like, we all make mistakes, we all fuck up, but yeah, it's going to be a team down in the dumps, one that's not even in contention.
So we're both saying here we both see him still playing baseball once all this is over.
Yeah, even if he has to go overseas for a year,
right.
He'll do what he has to do, and then he'll be back.
Let us know what you guys think. This whole situation it's been drawn out. It's getting to the point now where basically it's just everyone's guessing. It's a guessing game at this point. I'm pretty sure once the season's over and the playoffs and obviously the World Series are over, we might get more insight into it, but who knows? We might get that breaking news during the playoffs too. But please let us know what you guys think. Peace.